We got to get a breakthrough so we can be healed. We got to get a breakthrough.
Well, I really hope you're enjoying our conversation. I'm really blessed. I'm really thankful for my friends and my brothers. We're going to continue on, but I think one of the things that's been clearly identified is what my brother Roger just said. We need a breakthrough. We need to go deeper than we've ever gone before, and I think this is evident. I think conversations like this are evident, and I definitely want to continue this discussion even when the trend is over with.
I love the conversation we're having here because it's easier to talk to somebody who's willing to listen as opposed to what I normally see, which is throw me all of your facts and so that I can refute them and hold on to doing things the way I've always done them. And it's like it's almost a pompous situation where it's like it's your responsibility to educate me on racism. It's like, what books have you read? Right. What situations have you been? How have you made any attempts other than to come and doubt me? Other than that, what have you done? And when you have that type of a mindset or that type of a position, you know, there's really no use talking. Like, I forget what the dude's name is, but I wish I knew so I could put it on the recording because I want everybody to know I don't like him. But basically, he is a known arguer, a known apologetics teacher, and like powerful when it comes to apologetics. In the midst of all of this, he was talking about how ridiculous it is to tear down the statues of, you know, former Klansmen or things of that nature.
Correct.
I'm like, and he's coming from a Christian perspective, and he's coming from a logical, and there's like nothing you can say to him because he's built himself up. And it's like, dude, you could have said this 2 months ago, but now today you have something to say. And his goal is like, it's that kind of racism that I'm talking about because it's not overt, but it's like undermining everything that's going. It's undermining the pain and the processing through the pain that his fellow believers are dealing with. And so by saying certain things, he'll be like, those people are acting childishly. Or, you know, they're ignorant and, you know, they don't care about history, things of that nature.
Correct.
And it's like, it's ridiculous that we consistently have to, from the place of being the oppressed or the place of being the mistreated, have to then show you and be like, see, look, okay, here's the video evidence, here's the DNA, here's the historical evidence, and you know, and we have to go through all of this to be like, you see, this is what we're dealing with, this is where we get our pain from, this is what happened to me when I was a kid. And it's like, all of that's like, well, if you look at the statistics, so now forget everything that you just said.
Real. That
real
is so
talk.
offensive. That's so rude. That's so insensitive.
That's so true.
And this is coming from my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there is racism, like, and that's normally the first thing they'll say. Well, if you show me any systematic racism, I'll be the first one to fight with you. I'm like, but
so my question is, do you think that some of it is just plain ignorance? Like, I'll give you an example. I had Jason Ferguson and James Chambers are both listening. Yes. And my boy Andy Esposito. And the four of us were hanging out one night, and we were talking, and Andy is got a heart for politics and some things. And he started talking about forefathers. And he said, yep, that's already what I'm talking about. So he started saying something about forefathers, and it was quiet. And Andy was kind of waiting on a response. And James said, like Jason and James kind of just both looked at each other. And James said, just make sure you know who your audience is. There was love in the room, you know. I mean, that was the beautiful thing. But Andy was like, "What do you mean?" Yeah, exactly. And they kind of gave it a second, like you don't know. And I was standing, I was somewhere in the middle, like I was kind of surprised. I know Andy's listening to this. I love you, man. But it was an interesting night because we did it. We went into some uncomfortable area, and some things came out. James and Jason brought up some things, and I don't believe Andy I don't think he knew. I don't think, you know, and so are we talking tonight about listening? I think is one of the things that we can do to be informed, because if we want to relate, especially we were all ministers of God, if we want to relate, we should know our audience.
You got to bear with one another too. So I wasn't in that meeting. I got the credits. That's how I know about it.
Yeah.
And so, you've got to bear with one another. So from what I understood from the conversation, it was pretty explosive. But you bear it with one another, and these brothers are still brothers today.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't just be so quick to be like, whatever, dude.
Cancel.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what I was doing.
Right.
You've got to bear with, and that's biblical.
So
bear with one another.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's that. When I got the credits from that, I'm like, because, you know, I'm on the phone. I'm like, yo, straight.
Yeah.
You know, but they had it and bear with. And when I had, because I wanted to do something at that time, and he was like, man, hit up Scott, hit up some brothers, man, and just hop on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just, because I was scared to drive back from New York to Chicago, because around that Philando Castile, it was like 3 things that happened all in the same, you know, and I'm driving through these small towns, and so I'm like, man, I'm concerned, like this is rough, and so, but they're still brothers today.
Still brothers today.
They still get on the phone. They come to Chicago. They still hanging. You know, so that's big.
It is big. Yeah,
that's one thing. Again, small. We try to make this thing so macular, and like we want all white people to get it all at once yesterday. When it's like, nah, they just stepped into this thing. You know, really, like it was something that they saw, and it finally shook them. I don't know why this one exploded as opposed to other ones that are just as or even worse than this one. But this one shook them. Right. Now I'm saying, like, this one shook them, and so it was like, okay, we have their attention.
Do you believe us now?
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then, so like, then having meetings like this where we're talking to each other and we're having those hard conversations and people are being transparent and dealing, it's going to have to happen small. Like, we are so quick to want, you know, worldwide change. And then so what we do is we put these laws in place that are supposed to instruct morality when in actuality people are just going to do their stuff even more covertly. You know what I'm saying? So,
because it's in here.
Right. Like, I never expect you, I think you said, I never expect you to be a black man. Like, I liken it to me talking about pregnancy. There's no way that I can relate completely with a woman who's dealt with being pregnant or even going through their monthly
situation.
Try. Oh, yeah. But we know that. But when it comes to our experience as black men, it's like all of a sudden, you know, we have all these scholars who are like if imagine a scholar come in and be like, oh, I totally understand why the pain that you women go through, the centimeters. And, I'm pretty sure therefore,
if we look up in history,
you know what I'm saying?
We'll find something. I guarantee.
But and then say something like, you're just making it worse than I've seen other people deal with it, and they weren't yelling as much. It doesn't hurt that much. You need to suck it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The facts show it don't hurt too much.
Right.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? We got statistics here.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, like you won't understand what it's like. So we get that.
That's true.
So I just need you to empathize and listen.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Because that's what normally husbands do. I mean, you know, we empathize and we listen.
That's
because
true.
you'll never understand because you can never be in that position.
That's so true. So
First thing we ask as husbands is, what do you need, baby?
Yeah.
What do you need? You know what I mean? And for you guys to ask, you know, hey, what do you guys need? Do you want to have a conversation? Do you want to? That's encouraging for us. You know what I mean? So we definitely appreciate that.
And for the record, you know, I'm speaking on behalf of the people that are listening too. Like, honestly, you know, for me personally, it's not even a thing. But then again, it is. Like, I have to when we both walk into a store, me and you, I have to recognize, oh yeah, we're back in this physical realm and we're dealing with these things. But we're sitting here at this table. You're Kevin Beckford, you know, a man after God's own heart, a man who loves God, a man who's, you know, Rashad, got your stories, you got your, you know, all these things. And I also think there is a difference between racism and color consciousness. You guys brought that up before too. So I kind of wanted you guys to weigh in on this too. What do you need? What would you say to somebody to you know, that's asking that question?
Listen, understand why we are the way that we are. We just want the same things that you guys want.
so true.
That's all. That's pretty much it. I think about the 60s, okay? I was born in 64. And that's the year the Civil Rights Bill was signed. And so 56 years. And we are still fighting over the same things that we were back then. Mm-hmm. You know, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You know, land of the free, home of the brave. Yet our schools are still inferior. We don't get the education that we need. We die younger than our white counterparts. All of this stuff that was done back then is still. And so what can you do? We need you guys to have some compassion. We need you guys to listen and understand what we want. I mean, it isn't anything that we want special. We just want our fair share, you know, to raise our families, get educated, have great health care, all the things that we want. Get a nice house and nice jobs and all these things. We want all of that. Not to be driving down the street and the lights light up and you tense up.
Yeah.
You know, you got that in the back of your head anxiety, you know, and
yeah.
I just want to roll, man. I just want to roll.
Yeah. Just want the wind to go.
I only think once. I only want to think once.
Yeah.
You just want to roll and the wind go through your hair.
That's it. Wave with the wind. That's
okay.
it.
That's good.
I think one thing that we don't need is pandering. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, we do not want your handouts.
No,
we don't
need them.
You know, I could appreciate to a certain extent. You've just heard about it. Your white guilt is sort of appreciated, but I'm gonna need you to calm that down. Calm your white guilt down, right? We get it. You feel bad about the situation, but don't try to start fixing stuff without listening. You know what I'm saying?
Good,
you just got here.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
So like that's one of the things. I'm seeing stuff where it's like, what is it? Grubhub or somebody, they were like, hey, we're giving free, you don't have to pay delivery.
Seriously.
Real talk. Like, if it's a black-owned restaurant, you don't have to pay for the delivery. You just pay for the food for, like, the rest of the year. And at first, I'm like, oh, bet. Where's the first one? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That I could find, you know. But on the other hand, I'm like, if that was happening to any other culture, I would feel like that's messed up. Like, imagine if... the European Americans got together and was like, hey, from now on, when it comes to Groupon, if you're white, you don't have to pay the tax on the Groupon. I'd be like, man, they getting out 18 cents. Where's my 40 acres and a mule? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be stressed. And, like, I think that there's certain levels of pandering. Like, I'm seeing stuff where it's like, oh, this right here, we're making these vegetables, or we're doing this garden, and the only people who can get stuff out of this garden are black people and minority. And I'm like, yo, that's, don't do that. We don't want that. Don't you know? Like if I'm not for racism, I'm not for racism. If I'm not for racism, I'm not for racism.